And welcome to Justice Served TV. So, are we just hours away from Kelsey Fitzsimmons being released from jail? And the Sarge is here. Joe, we'll be right back.
Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
Hey, here we are. Sorry, my gadget is falling out of my ear. Hi, Linda Kenney, Baden.
Well, at least you have a gadget. Hi, good evening, everyone. Because I went looking for my microphone. Remember, I have a dual microphone that I bought, and I have to go look to see what I was wearing yesterday. Does anyone remember? Because I must
You
not
left
have
it on
taken
your clothes?
It must have been left on my clothes because usually I'm so careful. I'm such a Girl Scout. I plug it in to make sure, but I always have the backup one because it's made for two. But I don't know where it is. So if I run out of battery power, which I shouldn't do because we're going to be finishing about 6:55 tonight for different reasons.
You got a,
we
you got
won't
a
get
hot
into.
hand? Got a hot hand? All right, let's do this. There we go. What do you got there, partner?
I have Mark Sanchez. I'm going to start with the New Jersey Jets. Remember this thing I have over here? Yesterday, I'm almost embarrassed. Matter of fact, I'm almost embarrassed to put it in front of my face after the game.
Hey, it's not like they're 0-6. Oh, wait a minute.
But anyhow, Mark Sanchez, you know that he is accused of the battery, as you know, out there somewhere in Indianapolis on October 4th, right? There's already been a lawsuit filed against him. We did a whole show on this, and we have a short on this. If you go look into our library there on Justice Served TV. But guess what? The original judge that was assigned to his case, all right, showed that apparently she, and her name was Jennifer Prince Harrison, signed a recusal order. Massachusetts, signed a recusal order, taking herself off the case and assigning the Sanchez to another court, another judge there. It'll now be heard by a judge named Judge James B. Osborne. I didn't have a chance to look him up before we came on the air.
What was the grounds for her recusing herself?
It's not said. It did not say. That's the
some sort of conflict.
thing.
Maybe she was a Jets fan at some point.
or something, or maybe not. Maybe that's that's the problem. Anyhow, he's had a pretrial conference that was moved from October 22nd to November 5th, and Sanchez will be allowed to attend the proceedings remotely. Remember, he actually had turned himself in, had to get booked in jail, and then the courts allowed him to postpone and go out of state. So that's where we are with him. So he has a new judge. I thought that would be a theme for later on.
It just could be. Okay, Alex Jones, firebrand that he is. You may recall he was tried in Waterbury. It was a civil case against him, brought by the parents of the children from Sandy Hook that had been killed, alleging that he basically made fun of the situation, said it was a hoax, causing them crazy emotional damages, as you can imagine. $1.4 billion awarded across the spectrum of all the parents in that case. I covered that. It was a long crime at the time. I remember the Q&A out in front of the courthouse, and he accused me of being a corporate journalist.
I was actually on the air as the host when you did that.
You corporate media. I'm like, oh man, you don't watch Long Crime apparently, because I'm anti-corporate. But anyway, so they tried to appeal that decision, both I guess on the merits and on the money, and denied on both. So he's moved on. He's still grinding out money. He's existing, but certainly he's going to have to come up with some sort of payment plan, because I don't think he's selling a lot of vitamins that total $1.4 billion.
$1.4 billion. Those poor children kind of could. You can't. I can't even talk about it without choking up. Anyhow, we will do.
And that's about 3 miles from my house. That's
really?
we're right next to Newtown here.
Oh,
so
I just can't imagine sending your child to school in these young grades, no matter what grade it is, and having. I can't even talk. As I said, I choke up. I can't talk about it. Anyhow, we welcome Floyd, a new member here. Thank you, Floyd. You find this is a very interesting community we have going. Everyone is happy to see each other and very active in commentary. But and also in many of our people donate memberships. But to get a free membership, which I'm sure will pop up later on, you have to hit that subscribe, like, share, and notify. But you have to be a subscriber to both comment and to get one of the free memberships. So please do that right now so that I don't have to keep reminding you and kind of I feel like an Alex Jones, almost like shilling when he used to shill for vitamins on his show. Right?
You're selling supplements?
We're going to go supplements in here.
Supplements.
We don't have supplements. We have a store. We don't have supplements.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet.
Before we get to Sarge, Joe is here. We're very excited about that. We always love catching up with him. Let's dabble in the Fitzsimmons case. Kelsey Fitzsimmons, of course, still in the Women's Correctional Regional Center there in Chicopee, Massachusetts. Talked to the clerk today about the status of the emergency petition that was filed seeking a single justice review, and I learned that it is Justice Elizabeth. They called her Bessie. In fact, I got a picture over here somewhere. Let me show you. Get that for you. Oh, wait a minute. I think another picture has been replaced.
I just want to know.
Another picture's replaced my picture. Wait a minute.
Wait. I just want to know before you give her name. Did we have it right the other night when we reported that there was a single justice and we gave her name? We told you all about her. And you said, are you prescient or do you have sources? And I didn't answer your question.
Well, there she is. Let me tell you, I feel like I'm doing the dating game. Elizabeth DeWar, again, known affectionately as Bessie, she's only been on the bench there at the SJC since January of last year, so coming up on her 2-year anniversary. She was acting attorney general for about a couple of years in early 2023, I guess for a short period of time, not even a year. She did a lot of appellate trial-level practice with a firm called Ropes and Gray, did civil rights work, law clerk for, among others, Stephen Breyer of the U.S. Supreme Court. You may have heard of the Supreme Court. And she went to Harvard for her undergrad, then went to Cambridge for her master's, and then circled back to the U.S. and got her law degree at Yale. So that's who we're looking at. I've been told it'll be either tomorrow or the next day that she issues her decision in this case. And for those who aren't quite caught up with it, it's an issue that revolves around the trial court. Let me show. Keep that picture in mind, right? I'm gonna show you another picture, another face. The trial court basically rescinding the conditions of her release because she was having issues with the SCRAM, alcohol monitoring. Oh, sorry. And there she is. There's Judge McCarty. There we go, McCarty. So yeah, because
when you get like that, I don't even interrupt.
she found that because Ms. Fitzsimmons couldn't comply with SCRAM, meaning it was painful because, I don't know, shot in the chest, broken ribs, etc.
Bullet fragments still in her body.
It was better to put her back in jail pending trial because that was the only way to keep the community safe and Officer Noonan, the man who shot her, safe. So we hope that comes down, and we hope it comes down, with the proper resolution. And this woman gets spanked because she's not a nice person, and she's a bad judge.
As a matter of fact, we listened to the yesterday, if you recall, here on Justice Serve TV. We did go through listening to the whole hearing, which we've done a couple times now. But after you hear it a number of times, you can't believe how awful this decision is and how awful this judge was to Mr. Bradel, and how awful, let me just say this, how awful the state representative for the DA's office, the Commonwealth, was sitting there and he didn't say anything, said as much as my blanket that I have on my lap. And then the Commonwealth files this brief with the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, which is their Supreme Court. And they make misrepresentations, and I'm saying that right now, total misrepresentations of what went on in that courtroom.
I thought they lied. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
That
another
too?
way of saying it.
Yeah.
That's
So,
another way.
yeah, because he sat there like a dumbass, and I understand he's for the Commonwealth. He can't argue the case for the defense, but you can at least correct the judge when the judge is wrong on the law and wrong on the facts. I don't know. Is that asking too much? I guess so. Clearly, one of the youngsters in the office. I couldn't even find a picture of the guy. Gabatosi, I think was the last name. But yeah, I hope he's learned something from this. So
Yeah.
anyway, let's
Whatever it is,
transition from.
Let's transition from that. Although we may come back to it with Joe because we have.
Oh, we just might. There he is.
Yeah.
There he is. The Sarge is here. I need to salute, stand up. What do I need to do?
How you doing, guys?
How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Good,
Busy.
good.
School back in session, doing all that stuff. Trying to run this channel, do all kinds of crazy stuff. I was talking to Linda before we started. It's craziness.
Talk to us about your shows. Talk to us about your shows, your channel first.
Yeah, so
because,
True Crime
because
with
you're trying to upstage me with those great glasses in blue.
There you go.
Blue shirt,
Yeah,
blue
so True Crime.
glasses.
I have a channel, True Crime with the Sarge. It's a YouTube channel. We do live shows. We do videos. I call them True Crime with the Sarge Adventures. I go to crime scenes. We talk about certain things. Ellen Greenberg's been on my radar recently. I just came back from Manayunk, where that happened. But things are going well. Closing in on 20,000 subscribers, and I would say not too bad for somebody who does everything on his own. So
I got
everything's been a learning curve. It's kind of fun.
It is an amazing. I mean, this is all new to us too. We just started a year ago, and we're learning every day. Sometimes learning how much we don't know. What are you teaching, and where is that happening?
Well, I actually teach online for John Jay College. I spent over 20 years teaching in person, and I said, you know what? I'm retiring. I don't want to come back to the city anymore. As simple as that. I'm tired of doing it. I spent nearly my whole life commuting to New York City, and I've had it. And they said, well, how about if you teach online? So I said, all right, we'll give it a shot.
Cool.
I do miss like interaction with the kids and all, but I do not miss like 3-hour commutes. I just don't.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So is it criminal law type stuff? Is it investigative?
No,
what
criminal investigations. I'm doing
Okay.
I do the criminal investigation class because I've written the textbook on that, and I do varying semester to semester use of force class. All kinds of introductory to policing, that kind of thing.
You're the guy. You're the expert. You're the man.
I can imagine
You're
it's an
the
entertaining
Sarge.
class. I think it's probably an entertaining class. And just knowing you as we do, and you've got so many stories. I would imagine you're well reviewed.
Yeah, the kids kind of like it. I guess I'm probably easy too, because if you look at those Rate My Professors, they kind of think you're too easy. But my goal is to make sure that they walk out of the class learning some real life stuff, right? I mean, you can sit and talk and do all this stuff, but I teach them about the major Supreme Court decisions that have to do with what they need to know in the real world. Your Mapp versus Ohio cases, and Miranda, of course, and the list just goes on and on. Brady versus Maryland, we just went over the other day, and to understand that how about that the prosecutor has to give over all this information and all the other things that go along with it. So it's important things that they need to know for real life stuff too, just in case they ever get in trouble, they know exactly what to do.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah,
that's good.
Great. That's
So
great.
we want to talk about a couple.
We go to you. We also go to you when we want to know what the process and procedures are, which is probably a little bit above what the everybody looks like kids to me today, Joe. So that's
I'm in the same category. They're all kids, 20-year-olds kid.
So two things we want to talk to you about. We're going to get to the Long Island case and Shannan Gilbert, but since we've just talked about Ms. Fitzsimmons and her situation, let's talk about the incident that led to her current situation, and that is this ex parte claim by her baby daddy that leads to a restraining order, basically a turnover order. Give me your baby. They go to the house. There's no body cameras, Joe, so it's all, he said, she said, they said. Walk through that whole, that scenario for us. What you should expect, what you shouldn't expect, what would happen.
Before I get into that, there's one question, a burning question about this case that I have to ask. I mean, Massachusetts. Every time I see a Massachusetts and law enforcement, I always get, oh gosh, right? Why, if she was diagnosed with postpartum and she was having all these struggles, why weren't her guns removed under some administrative issue like we had in the New York City Police Department? where somebody's struggling with something or has been diagnosed with something, is under a doctor's care, that administratively they remove the guns from the individual so that they are not a harm to themselves or others. And that's been my
She
number
just
one burning
she
question.
just got it back. She
She
just
had
got them
just
back.
gotten them back.
They had
She
been
was.
removed. She
This
just got
happened
them
on
back.
June 30th. She was scheduled
Okay,
to go
good.
back to work on July 4th, and she had been cleared basically within
it.
a very short time of that day, which probably made it even more surprising to her. Anyway, so how does that work? You're the cop. You get the order. Go present this to this parent. We need to get the kid. How does that all happen?
Yeah, I mean, this one is a little strange in certain aspects, because you see it's usually the wife doing this, or the woman doing this, and this one's flipped around. I mean, there's no criminal conduct alleged before, right? There's no police reports. There's nothing about her um, official police reports, right? Because he's accused her of
Yeah,
attacking her.
yeah. Just ex parte. Here's why I need to get the kid out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if this would have flown in New York. I really don't, because
Interesting.
they would turn around and say, have you ever filed a police report against all this stuff? I mean, have you done any of the other things? Have you guys gone through marriage counseling? Have you done all the other things that are going on? Possibly what we would have done, of course, we would have gotten the registry involved, which is the child abuse network that you have. And not that because you think child abuse has happened, but you bring in the investigators there and to interview the mother and interview the kid and look at have the kid looked at medically and all the other things. Because law enforcement, as you know, are mandated reporters. So you have to deal with that issue. The child is always your number one protection in regards to this. And you have to then, unfortunately, I've been to some of these situations where you get the court order and you have to enforce it. It's even though you don't agree with some of the things that go on, it's your job as the police to uphold what the judge is telling you to do.
Yeah. And on that note, by the way, Cynthia Lynch, Justice for Kelsey, thank you very much for that donation. We really appreciate it on behalf of Justice Serve TV. But on this is her guns were just given back to her. The police come. How about body cameras? Is it unusual? Do you see cases where there's like North Andover doesn't have any body cameras at all? They voted not
Yeah,
to.
there's still some departments fighting this for some reason. Some of them are making it a union contract. Even out on Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County are finally embracing the idea. When body cameras first came out, I was a huge proponent for them. Not because I think that the cops are doing all kinds of crazy stuff and bad stuff and they need to be watched. Because I had been on the record saying this is a great idea because we're actually going to find out how bad the public really is now. There's going to be video evidence. They're going to go into court with a lot of these things. And they're going to show the video, and people are going to look at the video, look up a thing, and say, "Why are we even here?" And I think that they have definitely been beneficial to the police more than anything else in regards to policing per se. And yes, if you had a couple of people that were sitting on the fence of, are they a rotten apple or not? I think it kept a couple of them from going, Star Wars to the dark side and then doing things that they normally do. But you know what, though? We've seen body cams catch cops do some stupid stuff too. So, yes, it is what it is. I think they're a great tool. And why that in 2025 you're still fighting this, I don't really know. Because
as a matter of fact, I had the case in New Jersey that started that body cams in Jersey, and then it kind of like swept. That was the Turnpike shooting. The 4 kids who were going to basketball camp, and they were labeled as unemployed. And then the New Jersey State Police ended up being mandated to use them. And then everyone all of a sudden loved them. They, everyone fought them, and then they loved them because they found that it could support cops too. Not only get it, and now of course everybody else has a phone. If you're around where something's happening, you have a cell phone. So,
but that's a great way to combat that, though, right? So when you're the police, you have this camera on there, people, putting cameras in your face, phones in your face. Having that body camera on really levels the playing field about a certain, element that you're dealing with out in the street. I'll tell you right now, I mean, I didn't have to be bothered with that kind of stuff when I was a cop because these things didn't exist. The cell phones, people throwing them in you, thrusting in your face. I mean, that could be dangerous on so many levels.
Let me ask you this question, Joe, that may not be, maybe it's too administrative. These days, what's it cost for body cams? I'm tired of hearing that, it's not in the budget, or I just can't imagine these days that it's a very expensive item.
I don't think the cameras themselves are the expensive item, but it's the storage and it's the because this video, as you know, right? If you're running a YouTube show, these things take up a lot of room on hard drives, and you have to protect them. So you have to have the security for the with the police footage. You then have to make sure that so that people can't hack into them and break into them and everything else that goes along with it. And then you have to come up with a plan about how long these videos have to be kept. Is it 5 years, 10 years, 100 years, or is it forever? So I think that is the main issue about storage and about being able to secure that stuff. I think that's where the biggest cost comes. And anybody who's had a phone knows that their iCloud drive is always telling them
that's a
need to get
scam.
more.
That is such a
You
scam.
need to get more. Need to get more. Well, I guess, but the same thing happened with these body cam, especially in a place like New York City, right? You got 30,000 cops running around with body cam footage. That video is
I
gonna
can imagine.
add up. Yeah, that video is going to add up real quick.
But
Yeah,
again, that part of the technology is also getting cheaper and more readily available. And so, I just think it's a horrible excuse. I remember in the Karen Reed case, of course, no body cams, but now Canton police have them and at all times. So, at some of these smaller departments, I suppose, just wait until they're forced to do it for whatever reason.
And it's really beneficial for them. It really is.
Yeah. And it just, we're so cynical, I don't think it's just us. I think a lot of people that they just think, what are you hiding? You don't have body cam. What are you hiding? What is it that we should see that you're not letting us see?
Well, I mean, if they had body cams in this case, right, we would have our answers that we would already know. Like, does she point the gun at the cop?
Yep.
Is it, or even make, even the flinch towards it? You remember, because listen, you're involved in a situation where somebody is possessing a gun, whether it's up against their head or not. There's still a threat to the officer in the room or not, because it takes a split second to go from here to here. And we don't, as police officers, you don't wait to get shot, right? I mean, the Supreme Court has said, and Graham versus Connor, and that the U.S. Supreme Court decision, right? It's about the totality of the circumstances. It's about the objectively reasonableness test. Was this officer reasonable in doing so? And it's not about 20/20 hindsight. It's not about people saying Monday morning quarterbacking these things, right? Linda, sorry you're a Jet fan, but that's one of the only sports teams in New York that I don't have to be tortured by. Everybody else, I couldn't imagine if I had the trifecta of the Mets, the Islanders, and the Jets. I think I would actually just drive myself off the pier. But the issue that comes down to is that you're dealing with a situation where it's very easy to pick and choose about what the cops should or shouldn't have done. And that therein lies the problem. And I encourage people that they should read the decision of Graham versus Connor before they decide on what they think that the police did right or wrong, because that dictates exactly what they can do in use of force situations.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And I think right now we're coming past that. We're coming to the fact of, why is she in jail when she's had postpartum depression, when she's shot over alcohol, breathing into a scram machine, when she's got fragments in her? And I think it's her treatment now that's really upsetting people. And no one is saying that is actually gotten to the whether or not she was going to kill herself or whether or not she pointed the gun at noon.
Yeah, common sense is no longer common, and that's part of a problem. I mean, you get shot in the chest, and you want you to breathe into this device, right? So I remember when I had my gallbladder taken out years ago, and they had this machine that you had to blow in because with the air, and I remember I struggled for days doing that. And that's we're not talking about a gunshot wound with bullet fragments and broken ribs and everything else that goes along with it. So I feel for this woman in regards to that. I think that's a little bit being unfairly treated. I think that will get flipped. I don't see her as the big threat to society. I mean, geez, the people that they let out in the streets, and you say to yourself, you're holding this woman back. I kind of question that.
I mean, the bigger threat, give me your thoughts on this, Joe. She's a cop, former correctional officer. Oh, here, let's just throw you in jail. I mean, to me, that seems to be the biggest threat, not her threat to the community.
Yeah, no, if you're a police officer, a corrections officer, or any type of law enforcement, and you end up in the prison system, boy, you have a target on your back, no matter who you are or where you are. I mean, even if you're in solitary confinement, the guards could get you. I mean, other people can get you. And it's just, I look at Derek Chauvin, right? From the George Floyd thing. I think they almost got him
Mm.
already in an attack. So I mean, it's not. Listen, you're locked up with these people. They're after you. They're only waiting for that opportunity where somebody makes a mistake, something
Yeah.
happens, and then boom.
And that's what I've said. Linda and I've talked about this. I said I'm just praying we don't have that bulletin that she's been seriously injured or worse. We know that in the brief that was filed with the SJC, there was at least one incident in which she was threatened by somebody. And it doesn't take a lot of there's a lot of free time with people in jail. They got nothing else to do but connive and threaten. And I hope that this decision comes down tomorrow, the next day at the latest, and it's the right decision.
Yeah, well, some people
Yeah.
say, well, it's only jail or only awaiting their trials. It's not. Listen, some of these people are never getting out of jail. They're going to go right from jail, right to their trial, right to prison. And they
Right.
know that. And some of them might be going around for the rest of their life anyway. So they have nothing to lose, nothing to gain except for notoriety of doing this. So you're in a really precarious situation. And it's something I always preach to my students that you never want to be on the front page when you're in law enforcement because you're either dead or going to jail, one or the other.
Oh, well, let's move off that for the moment. Thank you, everybody. Joe, on this show, we try to do a little bit of humor because Michael is just humorous.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little fashion show. You saw all the comments, people looking after the lipstick on my teeth. Thank you all. And true, and I may have it again. And there it is. I think it's again. This is what happens when I go behind my. This is to be the poodle. You can still hear me. Avatar, and I take the
Well,
lipstick off.
let me fix my
teeth.
hair. Hang on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Anyhow, so what we want to talk to you about is this, and we know you know this case inside out. As a matter of fact, that's what I first met you at CrimeCon when you were on a panel on this case. That's the Rex Heuermann case, the Long Island serial killer LISK case, but specifically the first, and I'm going to say the first victim that was found, I didn't say of who yet, Shannan Gilbert. And you happen to know, and I'm going to tell everybody in case you don't know, that my husband did the second autopsy of Shannan Gilbert. I think we have a picture of her. I've learned how to add that to the stage. Look at that. That's from the Jersey City Police Department in New Jersey. She was a Jersey girl. And all. So just this is who we are speaking about, Shannan Gilbert, whose remains were the first one to be found. And I know you know that, Joe. Can you give us a little bit of the background of this, or do you want me to?
Sure. Yeah, Shannan Gilbert is the reason why we even have the LISK investigation, right? So she goes missing from a small community called Oak Beach out in Suffolk County, Long Island. And for those that have never lived on Long Island, there are people that live on Long Island that have never heard of Oak Beach. It is what we refer to as a closed-end community. It's set up weird. It's different. I mean, the tax base is different. Everything's crazy, but it's all right on the ocean. It's absolute beautiful views of all the water. Anyway, Shannan gets a call to come out there to Oak Beach by this guy named Joseph Brewer, and to make a transaction for sex work. And that's basically how she ends up there that night at May, was it 2010. And that night something goes terribly wrong. She gets into whatever state of mind she's in. She's in a panic. She calls 911. It's a 23-minute 911 call, and she runs out of the house and she goes to several other houses knocking on the door. She goes to a guy named Gus Coletti. Maureen Brennan, I think, is one of the other people that she knocked on the door. Actually, Gus Coletti actually tries to get her into the house. They come on into the house. She runs away. She actually hides behind his boat. Now she goes to Margaret Brennan, I think Margaret Brennan's house, and she's banging on Margaret Brennan's door, and Margaret doesn't open the door. She says, just sit there. I'm calling 911. So there are several 911 calls about a woman yelling and running around Oak Beach that night, and she disappears into the night. No one has seen her after that. So the police do get called, but the problem is it's actually part of a state park. So you have the New York State Police. So when you call 911 all the way out there, right? So the 911 operator is even confused because she asks Shannan where she is. She doesn't really know. She says Jones Beach, which is not really near Jones Beach. So that's why the the 911 call gets all screwed up about who gets there. So finally, a police car does show up like a half an hour later. But for the people that don't know, it's still a half an hour trip, like to the mainland almost, to get to where she is. So it is a very isolated area along Oak Beach and Gilgo.
And it's her body, it's her disappearance that causes the bodies to be found. How did that
Right.
happen? Because we're going to talk about the 911 call. We actually have it because her mother, Mary, who's now deceased, Shannan Gilbert's mother, tried to get that before she died, and they would never open up to get it. So tell us how it was that it came about.
Yeah, that whole 911 tape, right? Yeah, the fight, why they try to keep that secret. I still can't figure it out years later why it took so long. I mean, when you listen to the tape, you can't imagine that the Suffolk County Police Department actually thought that this was going to be, detrimental to their investigation. But anyway, what kicks off is Suffolk County Police bring out K9 units, and there's actually doing some training out there. And there's one officer, he has his K9, and I believe the story is that the dog had to go to the bathroom, and they bring basically the dog out of the car, and the dog all of a sudden starts hitting on something, and that's how this case finally breaks open. But they find a couple of bodies over the next few days, and which we refer to as initially as the Gilgo four women wrapped up in burlap within a close proximity to one another. And they thought it would be Shannan Gilbert, they were hoping, but then as they kept on discovering the other three remains, they realized that this is a much bigger situation than they were involved with. So they had different dental records for Shannan. They actually had she actually had a metal plate, I believe, if I recall correctly, in her jaw. So when they had found the skeletal remains, that was one of the things that they asked for. Was there any, metal that she had that kept her jaw in place? And the answer was no. So then the police knew that, oh boy, we have another situation going on here. And in the very initial stages of this investigation, the time is the police commissioner out there, Richard Dormer, he had a nice Irish brogue, a real old school kind of cop. He said something in the media that still resonates today, even though he has now passed away. When he says, we might have a serial killer on our hands, and I remember watching the TV going, did he just say what I thought he just said? Because generally the police never say that phrase, serial killer. I mean, good grief. Talk about bringing in a whole media hornet's nest down upon you. And that's exactly what transpired at that point.
Oh, when was Gilbert found? Do you remember?
A year or so later, in 2011, around the same, actually, I think in May of 2011.
Yeah.
And she was found in the marshy segment, not too far from where some other individuals' houses were. There was one person that is quite the character from this, Dr. Peter Hackett, who had actually allegedly had called Mary Gilbert and said that he ran a home for wayward girls, and he had actually, helped Shannan out that night and all the other things that go on. Shannan's clothes are found not too far from Hackett's house, and then about a quarter mile away inside of this marsh. Shannan's decomposed body was found. It was skeletal remains. And
then the Suffolk County Medical Examiner concluded there was insufficient information to determine a cause of death. And that's when my husband gets called, somewhere around there, but later, 2015. To do a second autopsy. It's everyone who don't know on the bones. We have a stand-in for Michael. We have Doc.
Well, Doc's back. He's back. Well, you must have him on the retainer.
We have him stand-in. This is Doc. Okay. And my husband, Dr. Michael Baden, wrote in a report that was released in 2015 that nearly all of Gilbert's recovered skeletal remains appeared normal, and that there was no indication of natural death, but that the larynx was missing, and only the body of the hyoid bone was found. The two greater horns of that neck bone were missing. These structures, the larynx. Let me say with lipstick on my teeth, and the hyoid bone are often fractured during homicidal manual strangulation. Okay, so he concluded that the remains were consistent. While you couldn't determine a cause of death, an actual cause of death, they were consistent with the homicidal strangulation. And so I'd want to put that out there, and that's where it stayed. And then you end up with the arrest of the real serial killer, and Shannan Gilbert is not one of his victims, according to the police. Tell us about that.
Right. So, medical examiner, like you said before, had the case, still has the case as listed as the manner of death as undetermined. right? So there are only 5 manners of death: natural accident, suicide, homicide, undetermined. And then what happens is, in the investigative world, undetermined cases get kicked back to the investigators, and they now have to provide more information so that the medical examiner can make a different certification for the manner of death. And that's basically what their job is. The job of the police is not to say this is accidental and this is what we're sticking with, and that's it. That's not the way it goes, but that's the way it happened out here in Suffolk County. And they said it's accident, she drowned, and that was basically case closed. We're not looking into this any further. The problems that I find with the Shannan Gilbert case in regards to this is that she's an outlier for several reasons. One, take it take this as you will. She's found the only victim that's found on the south side of Ocean Parkway. All the 10 victims are found on the north side of Ocean Parkway. That's the least of the whole thing. But she's the only one that comes with a driver. She has cell phone records. They have phone calls from the person that actually hired her. She has a 23-minute phone call with them, like basically in the room. Some of this time is in the room. And I would say, I mean, if you're either trying to kill somebody or you're killing him, they're going to call 911. The chances of them calling 911 become very slim, let alone let somebody actually call 911 and you're talking in the background while this is all going on. And she has the driver, Michael Pack, who the person that hired her goes out and gets the driver and says, you need to come in and get her. Right. So there are a lot of clues in this to say that Rex Sherman is not involved in this. I mean, that's what everybody keeps on pointing to because she's out there, Rex Sherman has something to do with this. Listen, we know Rex Sherman's a huge guy. And to be in a location like this and nobody's seen him and nobody knew he was there, I find it very hard to believe in so many aspects. But that doesn't mean that the police shouldn't have gotten the video surveillance from the gate that has it. They missed out on that. There is a couple of missteps that they have in this investigation, and including the fact that there were footsteps going towards the water. Now, when you have a missing persons case and there's an opportunity that somebody could either be drowned or something else happened to them in the water, I mean, this is what we would refer to as a special category missing, and a full all-out search should have been made that night.
And people are, suggesting she might be part of that Huerman batch, sex worker, same general area, and then the disappearance was
screaming, "Somebody's out to kill me! There's somebody's trying to kill me," which we'll listen to in a bit.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that it could mean not Huerman, but it could have been somebody else. I mean,
correct.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's the issue. So we'll talk about that when we listen to the tape. But before we do that, I just want to give you Joey Kane is in our chat. Joey is one of the prolific members who just wants us to donate to Kelsey Fitzsimmons Fund, Joey, and also a member I talked to you about subscribing before. Joey is always giving memberships to Justice Serve TV, Justice Servers. I think we've been naming people recently on our show. But thank you, Joey, and thank you for coming on and supporting and listening. It's about these cases. So, Missy, you have where are we on the Huerman case? Before we go listen to Shannon's tape, where are we on the Huerman case right now? What's happening?
You talking to Missy or?
Yeah, I know. You want to go to let's on Huerman. What's happening with him? Where are we with him right now in terms of his trial date, the DNA, how many victims he's been charged with? Right.
So Rex Sherman's been charged with 7 victims. The one now, Sandra Castilla, was the real surprise, 1993. So that one goes back much later than the timeline for some of the other girls. I think 2006 or 2007 might have been Maureen Brainerd Barnes. So that's a huge gap right there, and puts the timeline out for his operations pretty far out. And you're dealing with DNA, forensic DNA, that has just been allowed by New York courts, some of the new technology to be used for both mitochondrial and nuclear DNA in degraded forms, which is huge. It's opening up the gates for not only this case, but others as well. So you have to enter now. John Bittroff is that's a whole other show, because allegedly he was responsible for Sandra Castilla's murder. And as per the district attorneys back in the day, Thomas Spoda and everything else. And now we find out a couple of, just recently that no, Rex Sherman's DNA comes back to him. And that one happened in between 2 other murders, Colleen McNamee and Rita Tangretti, who now John Bittroff's attorney has asked and won an appeal to get Rex's DNA to match it to other DNA found at those crime scenes. So just stand by on that one. That could be really a big story popping out over there on that. But the evidence against Rex Uriman is pretty overwhelming. They have both nuclear and mitochondrial DNA.
Can you
They have
explain
cell-
to people what that is who don't know?
Sure. The easiest way to explain it is mitochondrial DNA, M for mom, derived from mom. That's it. You have one side of the family tree. Nuclear DNA, you get both mother and father. It has the nucleus in it. So if you have a hair follicle without the bulb on there, that little white thing that you see, I don't have that issue anymore. But for those of you that still have the hair that falls out, you see that little white thing on the end of it. That's the bulb that has the nuclear DNA, but the shaft just has mitochondrial DNA. So they have, from what the police have described as transfer evidence of hair follicles from both the wife and the daughter on some of the victims that we have, including a hair from Rex. So they have a lot of direct evidence in regards to that. They also have cell phones, 428, I think they said, electronic devices that we don't know exactly what was on those, but they have recovered, I believe, at the time of arrest from the house 7 or 8 burner phones, phones that are technically untraceable. If you pay cash, if you use credit cards and all those other things, that becomes a whole other issue. But also, the pings that were coming back to those phones were also in coordination with his personal phone. So they got him on that. They have an eyewitness. They actually have 2 or 3 different eyewitnesses. One, this guy Dave Schaller, who gave a description of Rex, gave the vehicle description, even said it's a Chevy Avalanche. You also have an eyewitness that identified a vehicle that was similar to Rex's in the Manorville section, where bodies of Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack were found, right? But there's no ID for him. And of course, the biggest, what I call the elephant in the room, is that planning document that was recovered, and that Word document that basically listed how he was going about doing his business, looking for video surveillance cameras, looking for dump locations, and things, his internet searches, talking about the Asian male doe. And he's actually even Googling John Bitroff, who was the alleged serial killer that I had mentioned earlier. Excuse me. And this was before the Sandra Castilla thing, to me, that's really interesting, right? So was he upset that somebody else was getting blamed for his work? I mean, that's something that really needs to be examined if you ever get a chance. And, the other thing that really a lot of people don't talk about is he was researching on how detectives work in homicide cases, right? He had the copy of the book Mindhunter by John Douglas, the famous FBI profiler. So he was doing his homework. And you know what? I think because of the dysfunction in the Suffolk County Police Department at the time between James Burke and the Thomas Spoda affair, all the things that was going on in there with the corruption that was happening, the cover up of James Burke's crimes about beating up a suspect, throwing the FBI out because of that, because they didn't want to get caught in that, I think really it emboldened him to be what he became to be. My question is, from the time when they stopped finding bodies in 2011 to the time he was arrested in July 2023, what happened during that time frame?
Yeah.
And
Is
that
there
is an
another dump
answer to
site? Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And sorry.
No, and the reason I want to ask you that is because Michael and I have talked about this. We see that because these were sex workers, that maybe people weren't paying as much attention to them
Likely.
going missing. Do you find that? Have you seen that? I mean, we seem to see it, especially if they're, it's not like they have a voting clientele that will, come to say, hey, it's usually just a mother or sister or whatever.
Well, we did see it in this case in regards to even, I think, the time at the chief of detectives. I forgot his first name, but his last name was Barone. He kind of made an off the cuff statement about the sex worker kind of thing, and he got beaten up for that, unmercifully, and rightly so. Listen, you're the job as the police when you have a victim, no matter who they are or what they are. They've been murdered. You have an obligation as per your oath to the Constitution of the country and the state of New York to investigate these cases and bring the people who are responsible for justice. That's basically what your oath is. So it doesn't matter who they are or what they are. You do your job. And unfortunately, in some of these cases, especially serial killer cases, sex workers are the the top choice, right? They're very transient. People aren't looking for them per se in regards to this. Nobody's going to call the police and say, "Hey, listen, the girls that are standing on the corner, there used to be 9, now there's only 6. I'm just worried about the other 3." Right? Nobody does that. So the issue that comes down to is they get into cars with strangers. They do all of these things that are very risky behavior. They meet people at hotels, motels, and unfortunately, that's what makes them vulnerable. Excuse me, which makes them
And
vulnerable.
they had no one to protect them. Let's listen, Missy. Can we listen to a little bit of the Shannan Gilbert 911 call, though, because whether it's her or somebody else, this is what happens out there, and it's awful. Okay, Oak Beach, New York. That's what you said.
State Police, Trooper Fry. State Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Okay, where are you?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you, ma'am?
I don't know.
You're driving right now?
No, I'm inside the house.
I'm sorry?
I'm inside the house.
What house?
I don't know. Can you trace where I am?
I'm sorry?
Can you trace where I am?
No, I can't. What's your callback number you're calling from?
Huh?
What phone number are you calling from?
Somebody's after me. Please.
Are you in Suffolk County or Nassau County?
I'm in Long Island.
Where on Long Island are you?
No. 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 No, stop, no.
Where in Long Island are you? In Suffolk County? Nassau County?
Huh? Why? Why you call me by my name? Why?
County, you on the line?
Stop. Please. Stop it, please. Please stop. Please. Can you shut the door?
No, time to go.
Please. Please. Please.
Go that way, please. Go, come on. Come on, let's go. Come on, roll that side. Come on, go outside. Oh. Come on, all of us. Come on, roll outside. Come on.
No, please.
Come on. Come on. Please, come on.
Please.
Come on.
Why?
Just come out here. Come on. I'll go upstairs. I'll go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to stay upstairs. I'm going to go upstairs. You leave. I'm going to go upstairs. Okay? You leave, please. Please, get there. Come on, hold. All right. What's the matter? Are you okay?
What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me?
She's in my house on my
Why?
Huh? Well, I don't know, but it was transferred to me.
Why?
No.
Are you going to kill me?
It's running through, I think it's Suffolk County on the left side for the person. The county won't answer.
Kill me? Why are you going to
Call Suffolk County.
You freaking miracle. Come on.
I'm in the middle of nowhere?
Let's go back to Manhattan. Right? We're in Long Island. We're out near the water.
Please, stop.
Me, Mike. Brother, come on.
No, stop it, please.
What you're talking about, Joe?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, Michael
Please.
Pack is a driver, for those of you who don't know.
What's the matter? What happened? Hello? Please, get me out of here, please. Hello? You're being sarcastic. about this. You're a part of this all along.
I have managed it now.
Shannan then ran from Brewer's house at 8 the fairway to Gus Coletti's house at 17 the fairway, a distance of 0.2 of a mile.
Shannan.
Shannan interacts with Coletti. He invites her inside his home.
Shannan.
What's the matter? Somebody at you? Huh?
Hello? Hello?
Don't keep yourself hurt. Where are you going? Wait a minute. Where are you going? Where are you going?
She then runs from Coletti's home, prompting Coletti to call 911. After Coletti's call, Shannan then runs another 0.2 of a mile to another home at 43 the Bayou, prompting a third 911 call made at 5:30 a.m. by Barbara Brennan.
Suffolk Police 873 with location of emergency.
Yes, I live at Oak Beach in the association. There's a young girl about 14 years old running around here screaming, and there's some guy trying to follow her.
What's the address there?
I'm at 17 the Fairway.
All right, you have a description of the girl or the boy?
Pardon me?
Do you have a description of the girl or the boy?
The girl is about 14 years old, got blonde hair, very small. The boy, I can't tell. He was into like a Suburban.
What color?
Black.
Did you happen to get a plate number or any?
No, I didn't.
Okay, telephone number you're calling from?
4.
Are they still on the fairway?
They just went past the gatehouse where the entrance is.
And what's the name of the complex?
It's Oak Beach Association.
Okay.
Out at by Robert Moses.
All right, we got somebody over there.
I'll be watching.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Suffolk Police 875. What is the location of your emergency?
43 the Bayou. Some woman is knocking at my door.
What town are you in?
Oak Beach Association.
What's the nearest corner street now?
Ocean Parkway. She says she's in danger.
Do you know her or no?
No, I don't. I'm not letting her in.
She's banging on your door now?
Yes.
Did she say what kind of danger?
No.
Oh.
And we live in a gated community.
What's your name, ma'am?
Barbara Brennan.
What's there a name to that community?
Oak Beach Association.
Oak Beach Association.
And I have an elderly mother here.
All right, I'll get somebody right over there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is drone footage and footage shot from the ground showing the marshland. It was taken at the same time of year and time of day as when Shannan went missing. These reeds can grow over 12 feet tall. They can disorient someone inside them, causing them to lose a sense of direction. One cannot tell where the highway is or where the bay is. The reeds and brush can become impenetrable in places. There's a trench running east and west through the marshland. This was created to allow mosquito control. It is believed that Shannan followed this trench. Personal belongings.
I think we can stop this. I'd rather listen to Joe now.
Yeah,
folks.
that is one of the most bizarre set of 911 calls ever.
Yeah, but she's screaming, "Someone's out to get me!" People are. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't release this tape to her mother Mary before. And
Neither do I.
for all of you who don't know, her mother was then stabbed to death by Shannon's sister, right, Joe?
Yeah.
In a family incident. So she fought to get this 911 tape out there. It seems to me that the more you get it out, the more you release, the quicker you're able to get somebody
Get some
that's trying to
help.
help.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. But if we remember what we were talking about before in regards to, all the different people in there. He's like, this Joe Brewer guy who had hired her says, I'm going upstairs. And he tells Michael Pack, basically, you deal with her, get her out of the house, leave, just leave. Right. So, I mean, there's been so many people pointing fingers at these two guys, but I say, we got the 911 tape to show that they were doing everything they could to get her out. Now, was Shannon on some sort of narcotic, or was she was doing something else?
Alexa, could you mind your business, Alexa, and not talk to us?
She seemed altered to me, right? Like her affect was weird. The phrasing was weird.
Well, especially in the respect that, she's talking to her driver or friend, like, he's like, all right, let's go. And even he's saying, like, what's the matter with you? Let's go. Let's get out of here. And she just refuses to go with him. And then she even turns around, like, and asking him, like, why are you doing this to me? And he's like, let's just go. So the time where you can hear, like, you think is a struggle, I think it's just her driver, like, maybe grabbing a hold of her and saying, come on, let's go, being a little more forceful with her because he doesn't want to leave her behind. But ultimately he does, right? He leaves the scene because he knows the police are coming, right? He is driving somebody for a sex work thing. He's committing a crime. Who knows if he's armed or not? Who knows if there's drugs involved in something, if he's got drugs on him, whatever. So he's in a situation like, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm not going to be bothered with this because he knows the cops are coming. And, quite frankly.
But I have to give credit to my husband, though, who says that it looks like this is more consistent with the homicidal strangulation. It doesn't necessarily mean it's Huerman. And if she was, no matter what happened to her, she was just actually terrified. I mean, she was terrified.
Well, sure. I mean, the issue that comes down to is I don't think any of the characters that are in that audio tape are responsible for her death.
I agree with you, and we should make that very clear. No one's accusing any of them.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they were investigated as intensely as they could.
And I mean, if you listen to the tape, it's clear in there that they, like I said, if you're planning on killing somebody, being on the 911 tape with them is really not a good idea.
Yeah.
And, the phone calls from Gus Coletti and then Barbara Brennan, kind of all corroborate the story in that respect, too. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize, but Joe Brennan actually went to the police department the very next morning to file a report on this whole, Joe Brewer, went to the police department to file a report on this whole situation, too. Wow. So, there's a lot of, bad information out there.
And as you listen to those calls and you can envision her going down the street, door to door, or sort of door to door, and Michael Pack, I guess his name was, the driver,
Michael Pack, the driver, yeah,
trailing behind, not really chasing her, but just trying to keep up with her, I guess. And then at some point, just said the hell with it and got out of there.
Right, and like I said, if they could ever get Michael Pack to make at the time, he could have made a public statement about what had transpired that night. I think it could have avoided some of the issues that they were dealing with in regards to this, right? We're saying that, listen, this is what exactly transpired. We were trying to get her out or whatever. I'm sure he was interviewed by the police, and even after the fact, because they knew exactly what had transpired. I'm sure he told them that at that point, but it's an ongoing investigation, so they didn't do that.
It's also an ongoing investigation still now, unless because they have it as undetermined. At least the police still have it as undetermined. Because if it wasn't for Shannan Gilbert, none of the other victims would have been found. Rex Huerman wouldn't have been found. And quite frankly, she's a hero. And she's unsolved, and yet she remains a hero because whatever happened, it's because of whatever happened to her that we're able to solve the other cases. So,
quick question from Jersey Girl Trey: 911 technology, they couldn't trace the calls then, or what?
Yeah, it's interesting that they said that they couldn't do that at the time. I mean, this is 2010. You would think that was in place or firmly in place, but this area is very remote too, and I don't know if the signal is strong enough or what have you. I really don't know. I think we'd need to talk to a forensic tech guy to try to find out exactly why that wasn't the case back then.
Yeah. Just scary story, and frustrating that it hasn't been resolved yet. So I get the
I
feeling
don't think
it's
it
not
will
much being
be.
done on it, right? I'm guessing it's
Yeah,
sitting
like I said, I
collecting
don't think it
dust
ever
somewhere.
will be.
Yeah, it's too bad.
And
Like I
to me,
said,
this is good.
the missing videotape at the front gate is a big hit to the case.
Tell everybody what that is before we let you go. Tell everyone what that is.
The video surveillance. There's a
Yes.
little hut to get into this place. You can't get into it. It's a gated community. Like I said before, someone has to let you in. And there was video cameras at the front that would apparently collect that entire area where she ran into that night would have been on videotape, and course, including any other vehicles that would have come in to there, would have captured their license plates and everything else that goes along with it. But they
And
never secured it.
they just never got it, or they never
They never
found anything
secured it,
on
and then
it.
it just kind of got
Hey,
written over and carried over,
hey.
and that then gone
Okay.
forever.
Jeez.
Just terrible.
Yep.
Joe, you are the man and knows about this case, though, and you're going to keep us updated on Huerman and Mrs. Huerman and all the goings on with regard to that, and the DNA, and also that time period of any other victims, and maybe there's another dump spot, maybe there's 2 other dump spots we just don't
Any
know.
trial or anything coming up anytime soon?
Well, he's got his next court appearances in January, but it's I believe they're going to start the map hearing on because the defense is now claiming that some of the evidence was found in violation of the Fourth Amendment issues. But garbage covers, those they're good. So I think he's going to lose that one too. I mean, he's lost a number of high profile things already, Michael Brown, in regards to this. Yeah, and I think he loses this one too.
I don't know who wants to take this case.
Well, he's becoming the DNA expert, the go-to person on this, right? I mean, he's at the forefront of all this new technology now. As a defense attorney, I think he does awfully well with this, and going forward, anybody gets charged with similar crimes.
We shall see. All right, Joe. Well, thanks again, buddy. And when's your show on? Is there a regular day, 2 days?
Yeah, I generally try to do things on Tuesdays and Sundays. Right now, I got kind of caught up with this whole school semester, kind of got swamped with stuff, but so I get them in when I can get them in.
All right. Well, everybody, look for it. Look for the Sarge. Appreciate
Thanks,
it, Joe.
guys.
We'll check with you again, bud.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Sarge.
Bye.
All right. I guess you've got to go draw to an inside straight or do something like that.
Do something like that. Have some dinner. That'd be nice too. Have a little dinner, and but always good to talk to Joe. And we try to bring I think some of the networks have found that people don't follow this case because there's not the TV media motion for sex workers. That's exactly why we are following this case.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely wrong to exclude them, to say you're not going to. You wonder what's happening, what's happening to them. They're an underrepresented population, underserved. They're underprotected in what they do. And until we recognize sex work as being legal, the same type of thing is going to happen. They're going to keep getting.
Yeah, I don't know if the stink will ever be off of that for some people, but the fact is they were people. And no matter what they did, whether you agree with it or not, they didn't deserve to be killed. So
right.
I feel like, can we get to trial already with something? But these things, when you have multiple victims, they just take forever.
Yep. Yep. Especially with all the technology and all the motions dealing with the DNA and all. Oh, Michael Bryant. So tomorrow we should have an answer on Kelsey Fitzsimmons.
I think that I would hope it's tomorrow, but technically it could be Thursday. But hopefully tomorrow. And Bessie will do the right thing. If you go through her background as I did, sounds like you can't get a better person to look at this case. Somebody that knows the law, operated at the highest levels, the Supreme Court, and it should become obvious to her that the resolution from Judge McCray, what's her name again? McCarthy, was just plain wrong. So hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, then. Well, good luck tonight with the cards.
So we'll be back tomorrow night, same bat time, same that case, and maybe I'll bring Doc. Well, Doc is losing his hair.
Doc
he's
looks like
Joe,
his glasses are falling off. What the hell's going on?
Is there a stethoscope is going to go off? Oh my gosh! And there we go.
I never asked. There we go. That's better. I never asked. Why do you have that? I didn't. Is that something
Doc,
you had?
Doc and there's a little Doc were gifts like years ago.
Oh, okay.
Because
of Doc.
Because of Doc, right?
Okay. Makes perfect sense.
Doc. And so here we are. So Doc is still with us. And I try not to throw away gifts or give gifts away, especially when the name is Doc.
Well, of
right?
course, it's cute. Okay, don't forget to like and comment and do one of those other things. I can't keep up anymore. But do all of those things. I'm Michael Bryant. That's Linda Kenney Baden. This is Just to Serve TV. Please try to do the right thing.